Arsenal meltdown as per after a poor result at the weekend. Robbie was supposed to be here. He's not. He's poorly. Bless him. If you don't believe us, check his Snapchat out. He's had whole soothers and everything. But yeah, we've got the guys here. We want to discuss it.
Them, I'm worried about.
What are you insinuating? Where do you think he will put them in his pocket?
Insinuating anything?
Well, what are you saying then?
I'm not saying anything.
You said something.
I'm leaving it there.
You're leaving it open to the imagination.
Dropped the grenade and walked away.
I just walked in the room, I put a hand grenade there, I've walked back out and I'm not turning around.
It's not really a hand grenade.
Cool guys don't look at it. It's a whole soother.
It's just a bit weird. What do you think Robbie does with whole suit?
I'm just leaving it there. Listen,
we have where do you think Robbie's left suiters? Let us know in the comments below.
These comments are going to get nasty.
Toffee TV 1.
All I know is that when they get nice and warm, they get all the goo comes out.
We're still talking about soothers, right? Sound. Anyway, yeah, Arsenal. It's not been a great run for Arsenal Football Club. A lot of us will have seen on social media that it all kicked off big time apparently it was kicking off outside the ground. I just want to quickly actually read something because Robbie can't be here to say this himself, but I thought it was only fair. That obviously there was a lot of rumours that there were fights and all kinds, and what I noticed was a lot of people then using it as a stick to beat Arsenal Fan TV with and Robbie with and all that, and he tweeted out once again to spell false rumours. There were no fights at the Emirates, and Ty wasn't punched. In fact, he wasn't even interviewed today. So sad to see. So sad when people spread false rumours. What's the real? Check out our videos. That's a bit of promotion.
So it's just an advert.
That's just an advert for Arsenal Fan TV. We'll leave that there. Use now. But yeah, it's putting that to one side, Sam. Arsenal, it's March Madness again for them, isn't it?
It's madness how you can repeat the same mistakes. I mean, United are doing it with Van Gaal. Just don't go.
Let's just get that out there.
Just get that out there as well. But this was a big opportunity. I felt like a couple of years ago you had your chance when you had the perfect storm. This I felt was a perfect storm year when Arsenal finally kept their players. They seemed to be going towards the right direction. The fans were happy at the start of the season. They were loving it. And up until maybe, seven-ish weeks ago, their season looked on track.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's just unravelled piece by piece by piece. Now they're going to go out to Barcelona this week. Could get trounced. They're probably going to go out the Champions League, out of the FA Cup. And now they're scrapping for they're 8 points behind off the top.
That would have been a kind of piece of research that people would do.
It would be. just wanted some clarification there. But Arsenal fans must be furious because they've had years and years. Wenger working to whatever the years of austerity they went through, and you kind of understand that. And Spurs are going to go through that. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with it. But if you're not going to win the title this year, then the Wenger out brigade is going to get.
Yeah. My only thing on the Wenger out stuff, and it's inevitable, isn't it, Pedro, that people will start talking about the manager because I think they do it every time they lose a couple of games. I think, look, I've seen it from a Liverpool perspective. Man United are starting to see it now. I think the grass is often greener, and I think another manager could possibly take Arsenal on, but there's every chance that it's not as simple as that.
Oh, I think it is as simple as that.
Genuinely,
I don't think Wenger's got anything anymore, and I think sensible Arsenal fans thought they were going into this season unequipped. You look at the squad and you think they generally don't have a centre forward who's going to score you 25 to 30 goals, league goals, and that's what you need to win the Premier League. Look at Tottenham. Look at Leicester. Look at Everton.
Yeah. Throw that out there.
We've got the striker. You need that striker. They're just unequipped in the squad is poor.
Yeah.
I think he scratched the surface. It's poor, and I think sensible ones were. And we go back to the other night when they played Hull and the fans got the banner out, and then some people came out and said, "Oh, it's a disgrace. They've just beaten Hull." And you're thinking, no, Arsenal should be beating Hull. Those fans shouldn't be swayed by a victory against Hull. Those fans don't want that manager at that club for all the obvious reasons. We watch Robbie's videos and we see the likes of Claude who sticks to his guns every week. And he sees it. That's what's great about all these fan channels is that we see it firsthand. And when you watch Match of the Day and stuff like that, or even when you watch things where people are getting talked about, it happens to my club all the time. Where isn't everything great? And you think, no, it's not. And I think that happens to Arsenal a lot, where they go, everything's great. Stop worrying. Arsene Wenger won the league once back then, and the fans are like, but that's not good enough. And I think more Arsenal fans should be upset that I don't think they did well enough. Yes, got the goalkeeper, but I think they should. And at January, I think I even said it on transfer deadline day. Why weren't Arsenal going out? And I know Robbie said there wasn't anyone to buy, but why aren't they going out there and forcing the issue and trying to buy the person who would win them the league? Because it was wide open then, and it's still, I suppose, it's still quite open now. Why didn't he go for someone? Why didn't he go and whoever they wanted go? We will offer you 10 million. Goes back to the Suarez thing. They offered £1 more than, and Liverpool just went, shut up. Yo, shut up. Show us some serious money. If you really want this man. And that's what Arsenal are never prepared to do. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you'll never get your way. You'll never go again. When they bought when United bought Robin van Persie, they went, we need a striker. We'll go and get him. We'll win the league, and no one will care how much he paid for a player who's in his last year's contract. No one will be bothered.
I think the problem, James, that Arsenal are faced with, and I think we all kind of feel it to some extent. Probably you've got your own issues. You don't fit into this one. But like, if one of Leicester or Spurs wins the title this season, particularly from an Arsenal perspective, but I mean, Ped said it past. If Leicester were to win it, you'd be raging just because. Look, why aren't Everton following that model? Why aren't Liverpool following that model? Whatever. From an Arsenal perspective, when this is the season when, look, Wenger's coming to the end of his time, he has started to spend big on players. They have started splashing the cash. They are the most consistent side there. They should have been ready to push on. If they lose that to an upstart team like Leicester, or God forbid, their biggest rivals in Spurs, the fume that we've seen up until this point will pale in comparison to what we'll see at the end of the season.
It'll be massive. I mean, the thing for me is it's like touching on what Ped said. You don't have like a striker, and I feel like I can sit down and kind of like understand what Wenger's trying to do in the team. I feel like I can, but I feel like he creates his own story and his own narrative for how the season might pan out, and it just doesn't go to plan because like football's like that. Right. You can't predict football. I feel like he was like thinking, right, we got Walcott, he can score 10, 15 goals a season up front, and Giroud can score another 10, 15. I felt like that was his plan. And that was how it was going to work out for him, and therefore he could maybe not buy a striker.
It's like whenever I used to start up a chat manager, a footy manager game, and I'd go Liverpool, and my bias to the players I liked would get in the way of buying players who were good enough to do the job, and you'd be like, no, I'll make him good, and just bin him off and go and buy someone amazing instead. And I think Wenger's looked at it and gone, I think he's obviously thought Danny Welbeck will be back sooner, and thinks he's better than he is. Maybe, I mean, like the Joel Campbell thing,
couldn't have predicted it.
Let him go. Get you know what I mean? He's obviously got something, but I think when you, as you saying, Sam, when you're in the times of austerity and you're just trying to keep the club in a stable position, you can afford to drag a few people up and do whatever. It's a good story, but when you're that close, you should be doing everything in your power to get yourself over that last.
What you're touching on there, you're saying how you can't predict what the Premier League's going to do. You could easily predict that Arsenal were going to have an injury crisis at some point again this year. It's happened every single year, and they've never. You can't expect to go into a season and try to win the Premier League by not buying an outfield player.
I mean, you can get. I mean, it's funny because you can go both ways. Because you could look at an example of us. We've been sat on Redmen saying, can't believe we've gone 2 seasons where we've basically put our hope in Daniel Sturridge, whereas we actually didn't. We went out and bought technically 3 strikers in the summer to make sure we had cover, and then all 3 of those strikers were injured at one point. Exactly, and that too. But so I think he's maybe looking. But you're right. I think there's it comes back to it. What is he expecting Joel Campbell to do? What was he expecting a fully fit Danny Welbeck to do? They're not good enough.
I said this before as well on the show. He won't. No one always comes out and goes, "Well, I've looked and there's no one better." It's not always about buying better. It's about buying supplements. There's players out there that could have come in and done a job for Arsenal, but he was like, well, they're not as good as the players we've got now.
Well, look at Mertesacker. He's not top quality, but what Arsenal needed was someone to help them from getting bullied against teams that were part of us and had big burly centre forwards. Well, you got a guy who can head the ball because he's dead tall. Bring him in. Yeah, he's not their best centre half by any stretch, but again, they could have gone and got someone who performed a function for them. And
there was rumours in the summer that Arsenal were going after Benzema after spending 30, 40 million, and then you fail. But United have done that in the past few years. When you look at Fabregas, Bale, Ronaldo, all these big names, and Müller as well, that we've been chasing the unattainables, and you spend so much time looking at them that by the time you get towards the end of the season, you're like, oh shit, I need to buy something at the end of the summer.
I think it's almost the point of like you've got no one pushing like. No, you don't have much depth pushing like Giroud, for example. Like Giroud at the beginning of the season, when Walcott was banging them in, he looked like he was pissed off. He wasn't playing for me, and they've got no one of that kind of that can push a player and stay competitive now at this stage of the season.
I would have gone on and I've lost the name. What's his name? He went from QPR to Southampton.
Charlie
Armstrong.
I would have gone and got him.
Even so,
I would
look at him now.
But I know he's got cheese strings in his knees, but I would have gone and got him, right, for £4 million. I would have gone and got him and gone, right, you won't play that much, but you could be the thing that comes off the bench and wins his games. Yeah. In the old days, that's what we all used to do. We all had that striker in the old days.
The Championship do it a lot too, don't
you?
Like Jordan Rhodes to Middlesbrough.
That's what old football used to do before the prices got mental. Used to happen all the time when if you played someone in the cup and someone had a good game against it. You used to buy them all the time. Everton, Liverpool used to do it all the time. And they used to come up and score important goals for it. And he's the type of player who could have come in January and gone.
In January, yeah. I think the problem is, again, go back to the recruitment, is that Arsenal started to break the bank. They started to spend the money, which I think is a positive thing for them. You know, they spent good money on Sanchez. They were, I know it was a disrespectful bid ultimately for Suarez, but given that he ended up going for nearly twice that, but the fact of the matter is, 40 million for them was a lot of money to sorry, Pedro.
Go on, mate.
And then they spent big on Ozil. They're buying ready-made players now, which is good, but they still haven't struck that balance because they're either buying he's still buying his kids who do nothing or occasionally come good. They should have been going out and they should have been buying an Antoine Griezmann, or they should have been buying a Lacazette, or someone who's like 21, 22 and ready to make that step up, rather than either stop trying to buy from Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's like they've gone against the mould to do that somehow. But also give up trying to buy 14-year-olds and expecting them to turn into the next Patrick Vieira or whatever.
I think in defence of Arsenal, I think what Wenger's trying to stay wary of in the modern game, it's like a lot of players have obviously they've just like left. They've gone to City, they've gone to Man United. I think he wants to keep that squad as balanced as he can and as happy as he can. He might. I'm not a mind reader, but I would predict that he doesn't want to upset the shit too much because he feels like he's got a decent squad. I agree with you, but in defence of Arsenal,
this is what you're saying before about you buy players and you might like them, but then you go and buy better players. What I was going to say to them was, if Arsenal bought Suarez? What would they have won by now?
Exactly, yeah.
They would have won everything. They would have won everything. And he wanted to go. He was desperate to go to Arsenal. Yeah. He came out with that interview. He was desperate to go. And Arsenal would have won the league a couple of times since then and would be challenging for the Champions League. Now, they've got an outside chance of winning the league, but they've got the Champions League, they've got the FA Cup, and they've won a couple of cups.
Yeah. Like I say, it's not great for us. And I think, they can still... If they've got the Champions League left to play, you'd imagine they're going out. They've got that end period to focus on the league, like they always do. Where if they can win every game between now and the end of the season, they could well still, as you say, outside chance, come away with the Premier League, and that would fix a lot of problems. But again, is it back to papering over the cracks? Interesting, Arsenal fans.
I'd love to paper over the cracks with them.
I know, me too. God Almighty, wouldn't that be amazing? Let us know your thoughts on Arsenal in the comment section underneath. Obviously, Robbie will be fit and available, hopefully again for next week or the week after. If you want to see his reaction and stuff, do check out Arsenal Fan TV, of course. There you go, we got us plug in. Thanks very much for watching the show this week. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ta-ra.